ago, on a whim, best-selling author Dani Shapiro submitted her DNA to a genealogy website. Many of us have done the same, often with fascinating results. But what she discovered rocked her world. In her latest memoir, Inheritance, Shapiro examines the essence of identity and what happens when the stories we're told about our very origins turn out to be fiction.
This is my father's whole immediate family.
Dani Shapiro still has her parents' wedding album from 1957.
I love this picture. I mean, it's an unusual expression on my mother's face.
Through 5 memoirs and 5 novels, the best-selling author has examined her family's Orthodox Jewish history and her own place in it.
This is my birth announcement, which, yeah.
In 2016, encouraged by her husband Michael, she submitted her DNA to a genealogical website. The results come back, and what do you see?
The first thing that I see is that the breakdown of my ethnicity is surprising.
The Ancestry.com analysis showed Shapiro was only half Jewish. She compared her results with those of her half-sister.
And that was the night that my life changed. And it showed that we were not sisters. We were not half-sisters. We were not related.
So what do you think then?
I think that Ancestry.com has gotten it wrong. I made my husband go downstairs and call them, but I knew it meant, if that was the case, that my father wasn't my father. Always wrote about family secrets. And so to discover at the age of 54 that I was the family secret, I was searching for something, and it wasn't until that moment where the lights kind of blinked on that I realized that I had been the secret, and that's what I was searching for.
If you want to keep a secret, George Orwell wrote, you must also hide it from yourself. When Shapiro re-examined her past, she realized the evidence had always been all around her.
I was told every day of my life that I didn't look Jewish, for example. Yeah. Every day.
As a child, she was the little blonde Jewish model who Kodak featured in a Christmas ad.
I would be like, yeah, raised kosher, went to yeshiva, fluent in Hebrew. I was almost like militant about it.
The other clue came from her mother, who let slip when Dani was 25 that she'd been conceived at a fertility clinic in Philadelphia.
And I said, what was the procedure? And she said, artificial insemination.
She asked if a sperm donor was involved.
She said, absolutely not. Can you imagine such a thing? It would mean that your father wouldn't have known that his child was Jewish.
So you tucked it away
I
then.
Closed the door.
Yeah.
And it didn't open again for decades.
Until Ancestry.com gave her a different answer.
When I started to come to the conclusion that my parents had known what they were doing, there was such a sense of betrayal that they kept my identity from me.
Do you understand why they did what they did?
I had to go inside of what it must have been like to be them in the early 1960s. And there was so much shame surrounding infertility, especially male infertility.
The other thing you wrestle with, obviously, in this circumstance is my father still my father?
I mean, the irony for me is that my mother, who was my biological parent, is not someone that I ever felt bonded to. My father, who it turns out was not my biological parent, is someone with whom I have a profound bond. You find your biological father remarkably quickly. 36 hours from the time that I made the discovery about my dad until the moment that I was looking at a YouTube video of my biological father. Shapiro protects his privacy in Inheritance, but reveals he was a 78-year-old retired doctor who'd been a sperm donor. Was it easier for you to deal with this because you could write about it? Writing is how I process everything. It's kind of my church. It's my faith. It's my temple. It's how I understand the world.